And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, a real estate and finance expert, and goes to bat for you every day as your consumer advocate. Your host, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth. Centered around real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, tax planning, and so much more. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, where our number one goals are to educate, entertain, enlighten, but most importantly, we want to engage you in an effort to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Pull out your smartphone, save our Consumer Advocate hotline number in your phone. It's 813-670-7372.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-670-REQB.
Baby, don't forget my number.
And we want you to bookmark our website, consumerqb.com. Website, blog site, a plethora of information available for you. You can see links to all of our expert contributors at consumerqb.com. And we don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We're going to help you win. Intelligent Talk Radio. I've got some intelligent folks here in studio with me. First up, seat number one, Scott Maurer, Advanta IRA, back in the house. Welcome in.
Hey, Brandon, great to be back, especially right here around tax time. Talk about how people can utilize some tax-free investment vehicles when investing in real estate, and really tell you why your financial advisor isn't going to tell you about what's possible with a self-directed IRA.
Right, yeah. Let's talk about the fiduciary aspect as well. A lot of things to talk about in that wealth advising space. So many things out there that are not right, and you got to make sure you understand it. Also in the house, William Crowley, a.k.a. the Credit Magician. Welcome in, sir.
What's up, baby? What's up?
Yo, what's happening?
Hey, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to piggyback off these two guys, Scott and Larry as well, but I can definitely talk about how we can help people to stop having bad credit and not only pay the bills on time, but the negative stuff you do have on there can be legally addressed using the law, the consumer laws, Fair Credit Reporting Act, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act.
That's right. I love it. Love it. William Crowley back in the house. Also, Larry Harbolt. He's a real estate educator. He's got a podcast and just a plethora of knowledge in the real estate space. Welcome in, Larry.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. What a little teaser we're going to talk about today. Give them a little teaser of what we're going to talk about today.
Well, we're going to talk about the unique market that investors look at, which may be different than what most people that buy real estate see, and how to do real estate, many cases, without money or credit. And that's an important part of the business.
Yeah, big time. The Real Deal Podcast with Larry Harbolt and LarryHarbolt.com. So, yeah, thanks for coming in. All-star lineup here. I told you we're lining them up here for you. Some great shows, great content, and we want to help you win in any marketplace. And we always start off with a little personal development. So we got Peyton Manning helping us there with that audible. But what we talk about is in this situation is how does a vulnerable human being tame a fierce lion and a dangerous lion. So what happens is when you look at it from a perspective, you've seen the stool, you've all seen the cartoons or even the stool there. So the trainer holds out this stool and it has four different legs coming out. So what the lion sees is four separate threats. And he's looking at these four separate threats, and he's been trained to basically be obedient to that. It leaves him dumbfounded, and he's unable to make decisions. He's in decisions by paralysis. You know, paralysis by analysis is what happens in the mind of that tiger or the lion. And what it relates to in business and life is that you want to focus on the vital few. Every day when you wake up, you want to think about, okay, what can I do to move the needle towards success? What are the ideas and principles and results that I'm looking for to help me attain more prosperity in my life? So what you want to do is focus on the vital few. And what Wilfredo Pareto, the 1895, he came up with this idea of the Pareto's principle and the path of least resistance. So what are the few things that you do on a daily basis that are going to contribute to 80% of your success? In any business, you can break it down. And for a lot of times, if you're in sales, it's about hitting the phones. It's about making those prospecting calls, following up with past clients, pitching, negotiating. Those are the types of things that you want to focus on. And so great content there. We're helping you with these ideas to win in any marketplace and live a better life. So when you think about personal development, we want you to remind you, think about that story, taming lions. You know, you see the four threats. So helping you win in any marketplace. All right, Scott Maurer, Advanta IRA. a lot of times when people think about investing, there's such a confusing space, and a lot of the so-called wealth advisors are running around out there touting certain mutual funds. Tony Robbins exposed it in his last book, and I think Tony, in a lot of ways, is the ultimate consumer advocate in Money Master the Game and also Unshakable, the book, the second follow-up book to that. But he talked about how 95% of the mutual funds don't even outperform the market, meaning that you can invest directly in the index and come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, the mutual funds, I mean, you have to look, and a lot of times people get confused, especially when we talk about self-directed IRAs and buying real estate and what fees are involved that we might charge to administer. People go, well, I look at my IRA statement from a mutual fund company or a brokerage firm, and they see a $50 a year annual fee, and they think, that's all I pay in my IRA account, for an annual fee. But in reality, when you're holding a mutual fund, you're invested in that type of asset, there are a lot of other fees that are being taken out. The mutual fund managers are getting paid, the trading fees, et cetera. So there's just because it doesn't say fee outlined right there on the top of your statement doesn't mean that you're not paying more than what's stated there.
Yeah, and it's so confusing. Do you really know? Think about this as a consumer advocate, and to you, if maybe you're watching our TV show, maybe you're listening to our broadcast. Think about it from this perspective. Do you really know the amount of fees that you're paying in your plan? And the chances are you don't, and that's why we want you to reach out to our hotline. But Scott, heavy real estate-based show today. So let's talk about, specifically, people can buy real estate and put it into a vehicle that you offer through Advanta and come out on top in many, many ways.
You can, and again, this is something, a lot of financial advisors, a lot of wealth managers either are not familiar with or they're not really willing to talk about. But it's possible when you have money in a retirement account, whether that's an old 401k plan through an old employer, whether it's an IRA you've built up over the years, you don't have to be invested in the market. You can invest that money into real estate. Obviously, things we're going to talk about today with Larry and William as well. You can buy rental properties. You can buy rehab projects. You can loan money from your IRA to other people. There's so many more things you can do. But again, your financial advisor who is getting paid to sell you mutual funds, is getting paid to sell you a stock or brokerage account. It's not in their interest to tell you, hey, here's something else you could do. Because if you discover that on your own, you find that that's interesting and that's something you want to do, you're going to be pulling your money away from them.
Right.
But ultimately, it's if it's your account, what is in your best interest? What are you looking to do, regardless of the fact that the guy you've known for 10 or 15 years selling you mutual funds, you still need to do what's best for you. And yeah, I mean, a lot of those advisors are going to help you and help you find the right avenues, but some of them won't. So you got to ask questions, do some of your own research.
Yeah, absolutely. And they might be a longtime family friend, kid soccer coach. You see those things happen. But what happens is you got to know the right questions to ask. You got to ask them, are you a fiduciary? You got to ask them just point blank, what are the total amount of fees, charges, whatever you want to call it, that I'm paying on a monthly basis? Because as Robbins breaks down in Money Master the Game, many people, they're paying what he calls the equivalent to buying a Honda Civic that you could typically pay maybe $25,000 for, just by having one financial advisor or one so-called wealth advisor who is doing a good job. Or you could go with another wealth advisor who's not a fiduciary, who's giving you these compounding fees over and over, month and month of compounding. And so back to the Honda Civic example, you're either paying $25,000 for that Honda Civic, or you could pay $250,000 for that Honda Civic. I mean, it really breaks down like that when you look at the compounding.
It is, and one of my interesting stories, we do a lot of educational events. We do live seminars in our office. I had a gentleman come and sit once in the seminar. I had two gentlemen actually in the seminar. One was looking to self-direct, and the other one had already been self-directing. He was a financial advisor. So he already is familiar with real estate investing. And the guy who was not yet a client was looking at his account statement, and he's saying, well, what do you charge at Advanta? And I told him what our fees were, and he said, well, I'm only paying $50 or $100 a year in fees to my IRA. And he had his statement there, hands it to the financial advisor. He said, let me take a look at that. Went down his statement and said, there's a fee, there's a fee, there's a fee, there's a fee. It stated on only one place did it state annual account fee of $100. But in reality, when the advisor went through his entire statement, he was paying over $1,000 in fees.
Yeah,
but it just didn't state that right at the top.
What are some of the other things that you see that are fees that people might not recognize?
Well, I mean, again, it's the fund management fees. It's just again, it's being hidden within your statement. It's not readily available to you because it doesn't say it's a trade fee or it's your annual fee. It was the fees different mutual fund managers were taking out.
Yeah, the financial sector, it's been said also that is the largest siphoning off of cash of the American people in the history of the United States. and it's decisions that you're making, and it's great that you're taking money out of your paycheck, putting it into a 401k plan, and or maybe an IRA, or you're looking to invest. That's great that you're taking that step, but you got to think a layer deeper. You got to be smart about the situation. We're going to come back and we're going to talk more about that as well. Scott Maurer, we're going to bring in William Crowley, aka the Credit Magician, as well as Larry Harbolt. We're going to have a real estate roundtable discussion here, helping you win, helping you understand those things happening out there in that space. We also want to give a shout out to the Maids Cleaning Service. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. 24-hour, 100% satisfaction guaranteed by the Maids Cleaning Service. They are referred for a reason. So stay with us. Do not touch that dial. Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win, making you just a bit more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
Don't forget, Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Visit realestateradiotampa.com or text the word VALUE to their consumer advocacy hotline at 813-917-1894. Call Brandon today, 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty, published author as well. I want you to check out our book on Amazon, Become the MVP in Your Industry by Surfing the Radio Waves, helping you understand how you could potentially start your own either a broadcast radio and TV show, or you could also start a podcast. And a lot of podcasting is very popular right now. There's riches in the niches as it goes. And we're here to help you win in any marketplace. Former USF football player, played on the inaugural football team at USF. And now we're quarterbacking transactions in the real estate side. We're quarterbacking introductions to all of our expert contributors and helping you win. But you got to engage us. How can we engage? You can shoot us a text or a call at 670-7372. That's an 813 number, 670-7372.
Welcome to my
Our hotline. We're going to help you win. 1401 Seminole Boulevard, a hot property. Attention builders, developers, anybody looking in that space in Pinellas County, this is a great opportunity. It's 0.82 acres, 200 feet of frontage within the city of Largo, $460,000. Also, I've got 84 acres prime land, developable land out in 2606 North Valrico Road out in East Hillsborough County in Seffner. And it's $1.79 million, 84 acres, and a great buying opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay.
sun is shining, the weather is sweet.
And this segment is brought to you by Kipton's The Hotels of Maurer in beautiful St. Pete Beach. It's the first new hotel built on St. Pete Beach in decades. Spanish ancestry meets cool Mediterranean attitude. Whitewashed Mediterranean palace with expansive luxury suites overlooking the intercoastal waterway. Got rooftop yoga on the weekends. You also have the Castile restaurant. You can go check that out, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and you do not have to stay. Now, if you do stay and you book a room, let them know the real estate quarterback sent you, and you're going to get a 15 to 20% discount off of your room stay just by mentioning the real estate quarterback show and the consumer quarterback show. All right, we're back here in studio live from iHeartRadio, beautiful South Tampa. We've got Scott Maurer, Advanta IRA here in studio. We've got William Crowley, a.k.a. the Credit Magician, and Larry Harbolt. He's a real estate educator, also has a podcast, The Real Deal Podcast with Larry Harbolt, and he's at LarryHarbolt.com. So, Larry, let's go ahead. Let's go to Larry here now. So, Larry, a plethora of information and many, more years than myself here on this great earth that we live. So, we want to dive into your brain and talk to you, find out a little bit more about some of your real estate knowledge, man. Tell us what you're teaching out there. Tell us some of the tricks to the trade.
Okay, well, I started back in the 1970s, but when I started, I just had a large family to feed. And I had no money and no credit because I was working as a construction worker, and I was unemployed much of the time because I lived in Michigan. The winters were brutal. So because I started with nothing, I had to learn to be creative. Mm-hmm. And I knew real estate was what I wanted because growing up on a farm, I understood the importance of real estate. So I started buying houses when I had no money and I had no credit. And it's the techniques that you use. It doesn't take money to buy real estate. And I've got a career of over 30 years proving not every deal takes money.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes it does, many times it doesn't. I like to buy income properties, single-family income properties, simply because I have more control over them. They're individual assets. And what I like to share with all my students is there's a million ways to buy a property. Actually, right now, I'm in the process of writing my 27th real estate course. Wow. And it's going to be titled 100 Different Ways to Make an Offer on a Property, because most people only know one way. And there are as many ways as you can think, because every seller has a different, unique reason why they're selling. Cash is not always the reason for selling.
Can you give us a little tip, like little insights to that? What would be just a creative way? Because I really like that idea. It's getting creative with the offer, and give us a little teaser on that.
Okay, well, simply, you have to ask a seller what they want, and you've got to give them something they like more than what they're giving up, or the transaction will never happen. But you have to find out, what do you need the money for? What do you plan to do? Why are you selling? You have to ask those questions. So when I ask what it is they want, they all say they want cash, but they don't want cash. They want what the cash can do for them.
Right.
So understanding that if I can get them to tell me what it is they really are selling the property for. And these are not, I don't go after their homes. I go after other income property. If I can find out why they're selling, many times I can give them what it is they want instead of the cash. For instance, sometimes they have to pay off a bill, so they want a large down payment. Well, if that bill is something that I could take over the payment of, for instance, let's say the seller has a hospital bill. They owe $25,000. The seller tells me the reason they're selling is because they need the cash to pay off that debt. But what if I said we can make arrangements with the hospital? If I can get that done, maybe I can pay off that debt at $100 a month until paid.
Yeah.
But I get $25,000 off the price of the house.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be coming up with all the cash. It's how you structure the deal.
Right, yeah, the structuring of the deal is important, and I like that example because you're getting creative. You're thinking outside the box, and you're able to, leverage the fact that, hey, they've got this bill, they want to get the bill paid, they might not need as much cash as they need, in their mindset. So yeah, it's interesting. And then you couple the fact, Scott, that we can put that into an IRA, those types of investments, you're getting tax advantages as well.
Exactly, and that's the kind of thing. I mean, what Larry's talking about. A lot of our investors have that mindset of doing something different. They're looking outside of the box. It's not simply going to the seller. What are you asking? I'll pay that, or I'll get financing to do that. It's finding unique ways to do it. And one way people do it is using their retirement account.
Right.
Well, Scott, a lot of us believe there is no box, so we're not restricted even by the box.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, because anything is a possibility.
Sure. And using the IRA, again, I think things that people misconstrue when I talk about sometimes using an IRA, I am not talking about pulling money out of your account and paying taxes on it. And that's something I think a lot of financial advisors get confused about when you talk about buying real estate in an IRA. They think, you're going to take it out as a distribution, pay taxes on the money, then use it going forward. When you buy property through a self-directed IRA, your money is staying tax protected inside of that IRA. So you are not paying taxes at all up front. You're actually using your IRA to buy real estate rather than to buy mutual funds.
Right.
So all of the gains, all of the future gains are either tax deferred or tax free if you have a Roth IRA. So the benefit, again, is keeping that money tax protected, and all the investment gains, profits on a sale, rental income, et cetera, all coming back into your IRA, growing your retirement rather than necessarily going back into your pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott Maurer, Advanta IRA. Let's bring William Crowley, the credit magician, into the conversation. William, I know you've known Larry for quite some time. I'm sure you've heard some success stories, and you go to the RIA meetings as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I attend Larry's RIA meeting almost every Monday, and it's great because I see a lot of the just kind of getting off the track, I believe, but I see a lot of the new real estate investors just going out there throwing tons of cash at a lot of these programs, and sometimes they don't do anything with the programs.
Right.
I'm not trying to knock the programs that charge a lot, but you can get a lot of valuable information out of these meetings. And Larry's meeting, the real estate investor meeting on Monday evenings, is one of the largest in the area. And all you have to do is buy a meal, and you can kind of rub shoulders with some of the top real estate investors in the country there.
That's right.
So, along with Larry's got a ton of information. Like he said, he's on his 27th book on real estate investing. He's doing this while we were in diapers. Well, at least you were in diapers. But I go to Larry's meeting because I do a lot of work with the real estate investors, the new and seasoned ones, as far as helping them to understand the whole dynamics of credit. I noticed Larry had said on his show notes, which I don't have any. I always write my show notes down when I get here. But Larry had said that 98% of the real estate investors will be denied bank financing this year. And that's why I try to curb that and try to, what you want to call it,
offset.
Give a lot of knowledge to these real estate investors and say that, listen, because a lot of times we like to play victims. I mean, I heard Scott say that about the hidden fees and things like that. And then Larry said there are 100 ways to do real estate investments. But Larry says, ask the seller what they want. You've got 100 different ways. Ask them. And I like to say if the consumer can just be more informed and knowledgeable and go out there and get the information themselves. Quit playing victim like, the whole world's against you.
Yep.
Because, if you don't take the necessary action, I promise you they're going to take advantage of you. I promise you that, okay?
Yep.
And I don't even necessarily want to say that they're taking advantage of you. They're just doing business, okay? And they're out there to make money. So what you have to do as a consumer is be proactive, be aware of what's going on. And your credit has plays a huge role in this whole scenario. Okay,
Right.
Most time these lenders, first thing they're going to look at is the credit on the credit report. Okay, and so take the necessary action to use the Fair Credit Reporting Act, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, Uniform Commercial Code, and give yourself the necessary tools to kind of curb that way of you not being taken advantage of.
Yeah. Be smart about it and research and ask questions. Reach out, and that's what we want to encourage you to do. ConsumerQB.com. Submit the form at ConsumerQB.com. It comes across my desk just like an email, and we also have our hotline available for you at 813-670-7372. 670-REQB. That's our consumer hotline. More from our expert contributors. We're also going to talk about the top 10 ways to invest money according to thenest.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, this is Jarek Robbins. You are listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Please do what it takes to learn all that you have to live the life you want to live it fully, and find a way to give it by paying it forward to others.
Don't forget, Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Visit realestateradiotampa.com or text the word VALUE to their consumer advocacy hotline at 813-917-1894. Call Brandon today, 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, the Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty, and giving a big shout out to Healthy Gourmet. Awesome delivery food service here, food delivery service at $90 a week. Big shout out to Felicia Lacaille with Healthy Gourmet, organic vegetables, natural proteins, delivered fresh 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I get my deliveries of this awesome food. It helps me stay lean and have the energy and have the great food delivered. It also saves me time. I'm not having to run through last-minute drive-thrus or cooking these meals myself. So they show up. We want you to reach out to Felicia Lacaille and let her know that the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. $10. Typically, it averages out about $90 a week. Meal plan starting at $90, and you get about 10 meals for that. So think about the value there to save you the time to grocery shop, to go out and do all the cooking and prepping and all that, and to clean up as well. So Healthy Gourmet, Felicia Lacaille, all of our expert contributors are listed on our website at consumerqb.com. Just click on the Expert Contributors tab, and you'll find all the contact information for any of our expert contributors that you're hearing from today or that you've heard on past shows. We'd love for you to check out our YouTube channel as well. We've got over 1,600 subscribers there, as well as our Facebook pages, and a lot of ways to engage us. So check us out online. And I got a couple of hot listings I want to let you know about. Attention. Anybody looking for some passive income, we've got a property here as well. 7814 Sims Road in Gibsonton, $449,000. 4-bedroom, 3-bath property, completely remodeled. And what you have also to the left of this property is an income built-in property. It's a commercial asset that is on the same parcel of land. It's over 4.5 acres, and you've got $2,000 a month of income coming in that's being generated from the commercial building to the left of this property. 7814 Sims Road in Gibsonton. A great buying opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
All right, we're making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. It's Intelligent Talk Radio. We've got some intelligent folks here in studio. Scott Maurer, Advanta IRA, William Crowley, the credit magician, and Larry Harbolt, real estate educator. And Larry, I want to go back to you and talk a little bit more. Give us another nugget of advice. So I love what you said. When you're talking about buying real estate, you want to be what Tom Hopkins called, one of my favorite Tom Hopkins calls, be a master asker. You want to ask the right questions.
That's right.
So what's another tip?
Well, number one, you got to find out what the sellers want. But number two, you've got to be able to supply that.
Okay.
Networking is critical. That's why I run a weekly meeting of investors. We'd never have speakers. It's just people looking for properties, people pitching properties they want to get rid of. So to me, one of the biggest tips is to network with as many people in the business as you can. But don't network with the hucksters. Mm-hmm. William referred to that earlier. The hucksters, a lot of them charge a lot of money for these programs, and yet those people end up coming to my trainings because they felt they got gypped. I have one student that paid one of those people $160,000.
Wow.
And they now come to my trainings because I try to underpromise, overdeliver. So my point is, if you're going to network only with people that are of quality, that can help you, and you can share, you can do business together. I can find a deal, but if I don't have the money, I can go to one of my financial friends. I'll put up the deal. They'll put up the money. We'll do the deal. We'll sell it. We'll give them back their money, and we'll split the profit 50-50. So you don't have to have all of the tools. You just need some, but networking is critical.
Yeah, it is. It makes a great point. William, you want to add something on there?
Yeah, and a lot of those hucksters that we're talking about, they tell them to go to meetings like Larry's. They tell so they get the real training, which is real interesting.
Yeah, networking is key. Scott?
Yeah, I mean, to echo what William and Larry are saying, I agree. I mean, we attend a lot of those meetings to meet people and inform them. We hold a lot of our own educational events because it really is key. And you can get, Larry just mentioned, you have somebody paid $160,000. So now they have to the first $160,000 they make in their real estate is just going back to get them back where they started.
Oh, yeah, break it even.
So, going to these, Larry's meeting, there's a lot of RIA groups in the area, and there's some people that put on educational seminars on the weekend for $500, maybe $1,000. You're not paying that $20,000-$30,000 for some course. You can get that same information, and as Larry said, meet a lot of good people.
Yeah.
to network. Not necessarily just meeting people who know more than you or can help you. I mean, people you're going to do deals with as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the saying is it's my network is my net worth. And I think about the show here. We've got 80 show partners, CPAs, financial advisors, attorneys, all types of different folks. What we call on that hub of your financial, your business, your health wheel, and I echo that. Networking has been key through my life and my ascension up the ladder of success that I'm continually on, and it's important. So I like that point Larry made there. Is when you're looking at networking, you always want to have an open mind too. And see, this has happened to me many times. How many times you said, "Oh, well, I might not need that particular person or that type of business," but then 6 months down the road, you're thinking, "Oh, wow, now it does line up," because it's all about timing as well, Larry.
That's right. That's right.
Timing is so key in business and in relationships, and it's the maturity level as well of your whether your business model, whatever it might be. So then you think about the life cycle of a business, as well. And so when you think about that, it's interesting. So, yeah, so the real estate space, man, there's a lot of wealth to be made. So more millionaires have been made in real estate than others. We also have our sitting president made a lot of his money in New York buying undervalued assets, and I believe it was the 80s or so when I read that book, The Art of the Deal.
Right.
But tell us maybe some success story. Give us something juicy here.
Oh, well, let's see. Without divulging too much, I'd be more than happy to.
Give it all to us.
I'm one of the people that conservation of cash is critical, having started with nothing. And one of my mentors, a man by the name of Jimmy Napier, taught us no matter how much cash you have, you'll never have enough, because if the more deals you do and you spend your money. So I try to conserve as much as I can. But structuring a deal where I can get in light is very important to me. I wrote an article recently about people are always talking about their rate of return. Mm-hmm. I hear that all the time. So my article was about if I bought a rental property and put $10 down as earnest money, no down payment, just started renting it and making the mortgage payment from the rent. If I kept that 30 years, made $100 a month positive cash flow, what is the rate of return on my $10?
Wow.
Not on if I put $80,000 into it, cash out of my bank account to make a $20,000 profit, or $30,000 profit. What is my return on that? So the only difference is we have to inject time into the formula. Mm-hmm. So trying to buy with that conservation of cash mentality, I may not do as many deals as some people, but the deals I do are going to be of higher quality, and I'm going to make more profit as long as I inject time into the formula.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, the time value of money. And so structuring the deal properly with the least amount of cash out of pocket is what you're saying.
Well, right. And another thing I do, when I find a seller that doesn't live in the house I'm trying to buy, and they have a large equity,
yep.
If these people do not need the money, mm-hmm. I will ask them to take part of the money and set it aside for 3, 5, or 10 years with no payments and no interest. So what they do is they just set their equity aside. I make payments on the existing or as low as I can get. That way I can rent it and cash flow it. Mm-hmm. But I'm not making payments on the other half.
Wow.
And I can pay that off at another time. It allows me to build cash flow when there's no cash flow in the higher priced deals.
Yeah, that's strong. That's strong. And why would the seller consider that? Just because they're out of state? There's different circumstances.
They may not need the money. Mm-hmm. If they like you, you stand a better chance. But a lot of these people are desperate to get rid of these properties for one reason or another. And if they just want rid of it, they're sick of it. They've been to eviction court too many times. Many times if they have a large equity, I can give them some cash at closing, mm-hmm. but I'm going to want to wait on part of it. That allows me to have a lower payment to allow me to cash flow the property. And the rest of it isn't growing. It's just laying out there in limbo. So to get rid of the property, many times they will do something similar to that.
Yeah, absolutely. LarryHarbolt.com, LarryHarbolt.com for more information about Larry's, also his Real Deal podcast with Larry Harbolt. And William Crowley in the house, the credit magician, helping people understand credit. When we come back, let's talk about that credit package that we offer, William, and let's help people understand more about their credit. And also Scott Maurer, Advanta IRA, and a plethora of knowledge there as well about how you can take alternative assets and invest into alternative assets through this vehicle, this wonderful tax haven of a vehicle called an IRA, and it helps you to prolong those earnings, so that way you don't have to claim it or realize it at that point. So more from our expert contributors. We're also going to talk about the top 10 ways to invest money according to thenest.com, and I think we're going to have some good conversation around this list here, and particular yeses or nos or buy or sells on these types of assets as well. So you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Forbes Riley, celebrity TV fitness host and creator of The Spin Gym. I'm here today with Brandon Rhymes, and you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Great ways to get happy, healthy, and wealthy.
Don't forget, Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Visit realestateradiotampa.com or text the word VALUE to their consumer advocacy hotline at 813-917-1894. Call Brandon today, 813-917-1894.
right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show. Giving a big shout out to Hula Bay, our official restaurant partner. A wonderful ambiance, excellent food, wide variety on the menu, everything from burgers to salads. Got Duke's Surfer Bar on the weekends down there, and it's a great restaurant. It's Hula Bay, our official restaurant partner, in beautiful South Tampa here, 5710 Tyson Avenue, just off of West Shore, just south of Gandy, is Hula Bay, our official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we're back here in studio, live from iHeartRadio. Got a hot listing I want to let you know about. Just listed this property. It's a vacant land opportunity in a beautiful neighborhood, Chateau de Laux, and it's 0 Rue de Laux, Tarpon Springs. 34688 is the zip code. $299,000 just reduced. Build your dream home on this beautiful lot, 1.13 acre corner lot, an exquisite Chateau de Laux. Beautiful property here in Tampa Bay.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet.
All right. So, Scott Maurer, segment one, we talked a little bit about the Advanta IRA opportunities and ways that people can invest through those alternative classes. William Crowley's in the house. We're going to talk about credit improvement, ways that you can we can offer you this credit package, as well as Larry Harbolt as well, a longtime real estate investor and the Real Deal podcast with Larry Harbolt as well. And let's go ahead and jump into this list, the top 10 list. So it says top 10 ways to invest money. And they've got them 1 to 10 here. So let's just kind of go around the horn here and guess. So they're saying the top 10 ways, and I guess they're putting it in an order, but I don't agree with this order, just to let you know about it. But number one, what's number one here on the list, guys? Can you guess?
Mutual funds?
Something similar. Well, they're saying stocks. Company stocks.
Okay.
They're saying stocks. Most popular offers small ownership of the big company. So, over the long term, we've had, you've heard a lot of people making money in the stock market, but, what I don't like about the stock market is the volatility. You've got a lot of the human element in there trying to inflate, overstate earnings and those types of things. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I saw a presentation when somebody talked about the stock market, and I guess the conventional wisdom is historically the stock market returns 7-8% a year. Mm-hmm. But when you go back and actually look year to year, the stock market, the number of years the stock market returned between 5 and 10% that year is almost none. It either has a very large return in 1 year or a very large loss, and it can also ultimately matter on when you get in and when you get out.
That's right.
So it's a gamble, again, depending on when you're starting your investing career. If your stock market could be good for you, could be bad, and it's that unknown is why people, obviously look to companies like us to self-direct or look to real estate as investments.
Yeah. And then
who made that list?
Well, this is thenest.com. So thenest.com.
Those stock market. Those
right.
stock,
Good question. Okay. Yeah. Where did the list come from? Number 2? They talk about investing in raw materials, so commodities such as iron, gold, natural gas. That's depending on, you think about gold. When the economy gets tough, people think, oh well, I'm going to invest in gold. I'm going to invest in silver. But the problem is, so many people already have, so that price is already higher now at that point. Is that kind of the mindset there? Do you guys think about that?
Well, I have a question with the gold and silver. It's a wonderful idea, and I think everybody should have some. But my question is, if the paper currency that we know stopped, and I need a loaf of bread, how do I take my gold to the grocery store? What do I get in change?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's going to be a loss of translation there somewhere.
And also, who's holding the gold? Do you actually have the whole gold in your safe at home, or is it in one of these,
well,
local?
You surely can't have it in your safe if you have it in a Roth.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot.
No.
So number 3, they say paying off debt. I know that's kind of a Dave Ramsey type thing. Taking today's money, paying off debt, and then you look at the overall household interest rate. What is the rate of these cards or whatever debt I'm paying off? I think that's a consideration that they're getting at there.
Well, yeah. And just make sure you're paying off the right debt, because there are debts that are charged off, and then there's real debt.
Right.
And so that people don't, and the financial advisors don't make a distinction, just like that list that you have there. I think that was made by the stockbrokers.
Yeah.
I haven't heard real estate mentioned at all yet.
Exactly.
Well, I was going to say there's good debt and there's bad debt.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just like if I buy a property, and this is the reason I love real estate. If I buy a property, a rental property, that property shouldn't cost me anything if I buy it on terms, monthly payments, because if the amount of rent I can charge for that property won't pay for the property and pay all the costs of ownership and give me an income, I can't afford that property. Mm-hmm. But when all the income properties, if they're bought correctly, the tenants pay for them. They don't cost you anything.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how you're going to create wealth, is let someone else pay for your assets.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. So they put down here at the bottom, they've got number 9 as properties, very popular and can be extremely lucrative when invested properly. So they had it all the way down at number 9, which obviously
should be, for me, it's number 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stock should be number 10 for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, me too. And because when you look at it too, you look at the insurability of the asset, the local real estate knowledge that you have of a market. The fact that people have to live somewhere. They need a roof over their head. So many reasons why real estate is superior in my mind.
Well, the reason I don't like stock, I don't know the CEO of the company. I know we have records and we can get stats. I don't know the people that work on the assembly line. I hope they're doing a good job, but I don't know. When I buy an income property, I can decide what carpet I put in it.
Yep.
I can decide what color I paint it. I have more control than turning my money over to someone else based on past performance. I don't know what future performance is going to be.
Sure.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, real estate is so much more control. Where am I buying? When am I buying? What's my play? Is it a long-term strategy? Is it a short-term rehab? Mm-hmm. If it is a long-term, I'm selecting my tenants. I'm setting the rent. Yeah, you certainly have so much more control with that type of asset.
Well, did you ever stop to think about stock opposed to real estate? Real estate, you can put down 20% and go to a bank and borrow the rest. But to buy stock, you can't go to the bank and borrow money to buy stock outright.
Yeah.
So, see, you have much more flexibility with the real estate, much more opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a win-win when you look at real estate. People have to live somewhere. William, let's talk about that credit package. Let's get that in there. We want to offer our listeners a way that they can, raise their hand if they want to reach out. Credit is an issue with a lot of people, identity theft is so prevalent out there.
It is, and as I give my presentations around the real estate investor groups and other groups that I speak to, I think people kind of misinterpret what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to tell people breed irresponsibility. I want people to take responsibility for their actions and not just go out and get bad credit because of a bailout.
Right.
But sometimes people, they run into misfortune. Like Larry was talking about the unstable economy, paper money, et cetera, et cetera. There's always going to be fluctuations, and it's going to hit some people and make some people put people in a desperate situation. So we're here to help you legally get bailed out of the financial mistakes you made in the past, but not to tell you not to pay your bills, not to become fiscally or financially responsible.
Right.
Always do that, okay? And as I'm addressing some of the negative issues of the past, we can address them legally and have this stuff removed sometimes overnight and legally, and then you can sue for damages as well. But the credit industry is looked upon as though it's a last resort. But most people need to take that and look at that as the first resort when they're getting into any type of business endeavor. Okay, I mean, like when Larry, you were saying earlier about the rental own, or what were you saying?
Like us investors, if we want to sell a property, many times the people don't qualify for bank financing. So if we can do a rent-to-own type situation, you can come in. You can help them improve their credit so then they can get the financing to pay us for the property.
And that's exactly what I do at the meetings.
Well, that's why you're such an asset.
Yeah, right. And a great person at that. Don't forget to mention that.
And good looking.
But yeah, so we help the people, just go on and stay in the home, work it out with the seller, and then we're going to help to get that credit established so in 12 to 18 months or sooner, you can go and purchase that property through some type of conventional lending.
Yeah, let's do this because I want to give our listeners an opportunity to respond, and that's what this show's about. Is that we're on some great radio stations, some TV as well on WeBeam TV, but ultimately it's the station that's everyone's most favorite is WIIFM. It's what's in it for me, right? So what we want to do is we want to give you an opportunity to reach out. So if you heard something about IRAs that you want to learn more about, or maybe credit, if you want to learn how to cut off the junk mail coming in and avoid identity theft prevention, or maybe get your credit improved, or maybe even real estate investing with Larry Harbolt, just education, the plethora of knowledge that he has, abundant amount of knowledge he's gained over 30 plus years in investing and as well. So reach out to our hotline, shoot us a text or a call right now at 813-670-7372. 813. Just text the word credit, text our IRA or real estate investing to 813-670-7372. Take action. Be that type of person that's going to see something they want and go after it. 670-REQB. You can also submit the email form at consumerqb.com. Just click on the contact and then submit the form. And I want to thank all of our expert contributors here, Scott Maurer, William Crowley, Larry Harbolt, and I want our listeners to please go out there as well and consider committing a random act of kindness. Something as simple as packing up leftover food you may have, handing it to that person that you see in need, or maybe even buying a police officer or a serviceman or woman's lunch or breakfast, whatever the case may be. Be a force for good, volunteer, help out others, and we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
To the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
Don't forget, Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Visit realestateradiotampa.com or text the word VALUE to their consumer advocacy hotline at 813-917-1894. Call Brandon today, 813-917-1894.